Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video I want to go through the top Supreme Arena defenses I'm going to be running for this week. So my team number 1 is Scarlita Stall team. It is probably my weakest team of the three. However, given like the level of investment I have into this team, it still is my third best option. However, if you don't have, like, for example, these heroes, and I think now a lot of people may not have Scarlita, you don't have to worry about it. You can run another Mauler team here. You can even run like a Wilder team. I'm going to show you some different options at the end of this video. But first I want to go through the other two teams because those are the teams you guys can probably use. But this is the team I'm going to be running because personally for me it is going to be my third strongest team. Verdant Spell does better on this team rather than Tide Call Spell from the practice and testing I've done recently. And we have Scarlita in front of Damien to get the benefit of his charms, giving her damage reduction and energy on hit. And Thorin Soul Pacting protecting the Haywin. And Thorin is also gaining the benefit of the Haywin charms onto himself. And Floribel, yeah. The team comp is simple. It is, the team should be tanky enough and have enough healing to survive until Scarlita comes down. And then she can be dealing her true damage. Okay, so team number 2. This is a team which, okay, so Odie, Smokey, I think do really well together, and it is also a free-to-play friendly team because you should have these heroes built up for like Dream Realm and early game. So Odie with the Resonating Spell has been the strongest I have seen. Nothing like comes close to the power of Resonating Spell on Odie, and Smokey on the buff tile as well. If you're running Smokey, he should be on the buff tile to protect himself and also get in a more ideal position to buff up your team and heal them. Now, Rainier in front of Odie, especially if you have Rainier Mythic Plus +10 exclusive equipment, that is going to give damage reduction to Odie. The attack charms from Rainier are going to benefit Odie as well. And then it is just basically making Odie more of a hyper carry and also making him tankier so it's difficult for the opponent to kill him. And also it is causing the opponent on the other side to take increased damage on the buff tile. So you need to have Rainier at Mythic Plus if you're going to try to run Rainier in this team. Otherwise you could definitely replace Rainier with like Thorin in front of the Odie. That is good for protecting him. Like that also gives him heavy damage reduction. You could even do something like Sonya and then, for example, pass on this buff from Smokey. You could do something like this, but I would probably do maybe Brutus over here because you want to make sure the Sonya doesn't die too quickly. Those are some pretty good options. Or you could even just run Tassi here as well. Like you could run Tassi and go for a team like this, which would be pretty strong. But I think personally, from my experience, Rainier at Mythic Plus in front of Odie on this team is very deadly. So this is a team I'm going to be running, and I'm going to take advantage of the attack speed and life drain buff tile by giving it to Lily May. Even though you might think she's at risk of dying, she immediately will cast Rainstorm Ballet at the beginning of the fight. And so the opponents are not going to run towards her and attack her. The Brutus is going to run up, they're going to run towards the Brutus, and Brutus will still be tanking most of the damage. So I think this is going to be a great team. And the other thing is, if you're running Odie, if you have another hard-hitting damager like Lily May, they do well together. Because basically, that would be the nuking potential to eliminate enemies one by one. Really, I think the major counter against a team like this would be running Thorin, for example, and having Odie just repeatedly kill the Thorin and not be able to get to the back line. That would be one way of countering it. Also, Taylene can somewhat counter Odie kill comps if Taylene becomes a target because she will just keep reviving herself. However, I think this is a very strong team. I think it's very difficult for opponents to deal with this, and Resonating Spell on Odie. Okay, moving on to team number 3. So and also talking about team number 2, there is the Infinite Front Thundering Doom, but I don't worry about this too much. It deals true damage to the frontmost enemy, and when they say enemy or ally, it actually means enemy and ally. The frontmost on either side of the field is going to take this damage and reduce their maximum HP. So because of that effect, you might want to have Brutus in front of the Lily May, because then that is guaranteeing that Brutus will be taking this rather than Lily May. Because the problem is, if Brutus runs up, like if the opponent has Maulers or something teleporting into your team, Brutus could be stuck over here, Lily May could be in front of the Brutus, and then Lily May could be taking the Infinite Front Thundering Doom, which you don't really want. Yeah, okay, so maybe I will try Brutus in front of Lily May. But, you know, the thing is, I don't know how important this is, because it's every 5 seconds, and, like, honestly, after 10-15 seconds of the battle is pretty much decided and over. But yeah, I mean, I don't have to take advantage of these smoky buffs. They don't really matter that much. Okay, so I guess I'll go for this. This seems a little bit safer for the time being. Okay, so for team number 3. So this is a team I have run exactly this team before, and it has done really well for me in the past. Basically, Shakir is off the buff tile, but he is going to be even tankier than being on the buff tile because you give him Valor Shield spell, which gives him a big shield. It gives him high defenses and being unaffected. For the beginning of the battle, we have the damage reduction and the shield from the Coco Charms onto him and energy on hit. He's going to cast his ultimate pretty much immediately, unless the opponent has like a Lily May or a Dunlinger or something into this team. And Vala, with the other portion of the Vala Shield spell, will have the shield for her own tankiness. It will give her the haste buff, which is really valuable, like faster attack speed, faster skill casting. She can get a kill earlier on in the match. She has a damage reduction of the Frester Illusion, main Frester in front of Mikola. And Mikola really is the only one who's going to be at risk of dying. And so by having her on the buff tile, she is going to have that immunity to fatal damage. So the whole team is going to be very difficult to kill. We're probably going to control the On Arena, because we already have 2 heroes in the On Arena, and then the Frester and his illusion will be walking up, and Mikola and Vala potentially even teleporting in. And I think this is a great use of Valor Shield spell. I always try to find one team which is going to use Valor Shield spell really well. For my Odie kill team, I always use Resonating spell on the Odie. But for my more tanky oriented team like this, I try to make use of Valor Shield, and I think this is a great use of it. You could definitely try a replacement. You could go for something like this. This would be fine as well. It would also make Mikola tanky with the Valor Shield spell, and then Shakir will have the buff tile if you want his immunity to fatal damage more than Mikola. However, from my testing, this the Shakir in this position also is really like, the Shakir is not really going to be dying even in this position because of the Valor Shield spell. So he doesn't really need the immunity to fatal damage. But it is up to you which one you want to run. Whichever way you want to go for it. But this is a very strong team. It makes a good use of Fresto, because I think it's best to use Fresto in your Mikola teams because you're more likely to control the On Arena. And also, this is kind of like just a bruiserish comp. Coco is going to take advantage of the range heart tile. She's not the best hero onto it. However, the attack speed can help her maybe charge her energy a bit faster and cast her ultimate, because her ultimate is the game-changing ultimate you want to be casted. And the only way that she'll actually be targetable is if the opponent has like an Iron and controls her. And no one really wants to bring Iron into a Mauler, enemy Mauler team. So I think Coco is going to be pretty safe. So I'm a fan of this team, but like I said, you can swap around Mikola or Shakir. I don't really know which one would be better. It is a difficult decision. Yeah, it's a really difficult decision, but I'm going to go for this for right now. Okay, now moving back to team number 1. So this is my team number 1, Scarlita Stall team, because for me, this is my best third option. However, if you don't have these heroes built up well, then you can go for another Mauler team. If you have another 3 Mauler heroes at Supreme or Supreme Plus, you can go for another Mauler team. And there are a lot of options. You can go for Seth on the buff tile. That is strong. For example, you could go Seth on Tandra, Elsa and Seth on the buff tiles, on Tandra off of it. This is a strong combo. Seth has kill potential. Elsa also does. And of course, if you have Soren or something like that, you can be using him on the buff tiles, but my Soren is only mythic. Now, another option, which of course you guys have seen a lot of as well, is going to be running the Tassi on the Mauler buff tile. And now I don't have Resonating spell available. If you run Tassi on the Mauler buff tile, you really want to run her with Resonating spell, because then she has solo potential at the end of the fight. However, you can use something like Verdant spell, and now we just need to have a third Mauler. And I would probably go for Lumont. And you can decide, do you want Elsa on the buff tile or do you want Lumont on the buff tile? I think Elsa probably would be better. And then finally, you can just go for like, maybe you could go for like, if you have Scarlita still built, you can go are available, you can go for Scarlita, or you can just go for, people like to run Rowan in the Tassi teams. Normally Rowan has not just been that great in Supreme Arena, and the problem is that he's not going to be guaranteed to even boost the energy of Tassi, because Tassi jumps all over the map. You could go for a hero like Haywin. You could definitely go for Haywin on Tandra type team. or even Haywin in front of the Lumont, making him tankier. Haywin does well in the tossy-oriented teams to try and stall them. The only issue when you're looking at a team like this is the opponent can burst through you. Like Lumont, Haywin, Antanja, they can be killed quickly and easily, and then it just comes down to your Tossy and Elsa, and can they solo? And that is why people normally run like, they run Tossy with the Resonating Spell. Thorin is a good option here as well. Thorin Soul Pact Elsa, or Thorin Soul Pact the Tossy. This would be a good team that you can try and run. Those are basically what would be my recommended choices. If you wanted to run something like Sonya, you can do a team like this. The problem is Sonya is probably going to die because you also have no form of healing on a team like this. That is the major issue, and I would find it worrying, like basically being able for Sonya to survive and actually cast your ultimate. But these are some different team options for a Mauler type team. And if you don't have Tossy, you can also go for Talene. Talene is good with Maulers as well. But yeah, those would be my recommendations. Now, if you wanted to go for a Wilder team, you still can go for the all-out nuking Wilder team. For example, I'm going to show you Haywin and then Arden. You could go for a team like this, basically. Tide Call spell because you're going to be casting ultimates rapidly. And then you decide Thorin on soul pacting who do you want to soul pack with the Thorin, the Arden or the Haywin? It kind of is up to you. But yeah, you could definitely go for a team like this with the Tide Call spell. It has nuking potential. Now, of course, if the opponent brings Maulers and they also see your Iron, so I probably actually wouldn't run Iron here. Maybe I would run it like this or something. They won't really expect it as much, but if they run Maulers, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. But if your team is able to survive for long enough, you can wait out the unaffected state of the Maulers, and you can go for the second ultimate cast of Iron, for example. Even just Arden's raw damage can sometimes be enough to kill the opponent. This is like a stall crowd control Arden team, and it has kill potential. And I actually kind of prefer a team like this rather than running Carolina and Arden together, because when you run Carolina and Arden together, basically you don't have as much of a stall factor, and the Maulers can easily burst through your team, and that is more worrying. Like, if you're going to go for a team like this, it's better to have the stall factor. So there's another type of team you can run. A lot of people would have these heroes built up because these are like key heroes that you should be building on your account. And you can see whether it does well. Like, I think this would not be a bad option, but you can test it and find out for yourself. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this video. I hope these teams work out well for you, and you guys can let me know if you have any other team ideas that you're running, or you can let me know if you've been running these teams for a while, how are they doing? And if I have any update to my teams, then I will share them with you guys in the future. So we'll just reset up my team that I'm planning to run over here, which is going to be yeah. But if you look at this team that I'm running, basically that other option with like Arden, Haywin, Damien, it is very similar to this team. It's kind of like Strawlish, but again with the kill potential of Arden, so it is like the more budget version of this team that I'm running. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.